China is not preparing to become the world's next superpower. They are preparing to deal with their collapse. This is no discredit to China. They have brought 800 million people out of starvation and poverty. They increased their literacy rates in 40 years, more than any other country could have possibly done. But no matter how much can be accomplished, the same mistakes will be made by every authoritarian regime, putting all of the decision-making power into one person. The entire social credit system isn't something to make the country richer. It's for the Chinese government to decide who gets to be quote-unquote saved from the impending collapse. When I say collapse, I don't think that China's going to be broken up into different states or anything that disastrous, because China does have very strong leadership and a disciplined population. But there are several bad things that are going to be happening to the country that the government has been preparing for. As a result, they will lose a lot of their economic power and their position on the world stage. China's economy was already weakening before COVID hit. When it actually happened, things got much worse, and it is downward spiraling. China's manufacturing recovery, which everyone expected to come by the first quarter of this year, has turned to naught. In fact, exports have dropped by 12% in June. The opposite is supposed to be happening. You see, we're looking at a chart right here of the Chinese currency, the yuan, in comparison to the US dollar. Generally, it's supposed to be at 14 or 14.5 cents, but it's trading at 13.9 cents, right next to its 20-year low. Now, when the currency is supposed to drop in value, exports are supposed to skyrocket, yet, as we've just seen, their exports are dropping. And deflation, which is much worse than inflation, has hit China's manufacturing sector. So the price that manufacturers can sell their goods to stores has dropped 5.4% in a year, and this has been going on for quite some time. Now, on the consumer end, China's CPI looks like they have hit 0% inflation. It has been going on a large downtrend, and it looks like they are going to be going into further negative territory, into deflation. Deflation for an export-heavy country is suggestive of an economic collapse. China was able to provide about 95% of its food supply about 20 years ago. Today, that number is closer to 69%. That being coupled with their population crisis is a recipe for further disaster. In 2022, there were more deaths in China than there were births. And an older population becomes very expensive for the youth of the country to support. And I'm sure there are a lot of Americans who are like, good, I'm glad that's happening to China, we're gonna be on top. If China has a nasty collapse, that will affect and harm the world all over. They are the world's second largest economy, and to think that we would be immune to the ripples of that disaster is pure ignorance.